Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're at. It is the Earthmaster here on the live stream on this Tuesday, September 5th, 2023, jumping a day ahead. It is about 12:30 p.m. California time. Latest quake shows a 5.0 just coming in to the Earthquake 3D globe here at, looks like around the Mid-Atlantic Ridge area, southern Mid-Atlantic Ridge. The latest earthquake there on the map. We did see some larger scale movement overnight, including an area in the watch zone, so to speak, here around the Papua New Guinea area. This earthquake originally coming in as a 6.1, got downgraded here by the USGS to a 5.8, but still looking for potential movement here across the Solomon Islands and the Vanuatu region here in the coming hours, if not soon. This has been pretty quiet out here recently. All right, there's activity from yesterday, that little oddball earthquake that leads me to believe that strain is still pretty high up against this region, so we'll continue to watch this for some movement. Let's see what else we got here across the California area. Had a little bit of movement off the coast here of Los Angeles, a 3.2 near the Santa Rosa Islands area. Santa Rosa Island area, it looks like, out in the Pacific. Now, definitely do see some earthquake activity out here on occasion. But this little earthquake here, I don't think, nothing of concern currently, but I'm trying to think which fault system this occurred on here. One of the faults out here in the Pacific, there's quite a few faults known and I'm sure unknown that are present out here across this area. But for now, 3.2, 11 kilometers deep out there, well off the coast of Los Angeles. A little bit of movement up against the San Andreas Fault tonight or today. That's going to be the plate boundary, of course, within this area. Mostly smaller microquake movement. A look at the 2.5 map and above shows we did have a 2.8 here near the Desert Hot Springs area. That's pretty close here to the San Andreas Fault, the southern branch. Earlier, let's see, when was that? Early this morning, about 4 o'clock or so. Aside from that, most of this movement here, microquake activity, no major swarms to speak of currently across the Southern California area. Up into Northern California, a handful of smaller quakes across the coastal range here, mostly 2s. The latest looks like a 2.2 over here outside of Covelo on the Bartlett Springs Fault, or just off of there, about 4 kilometers deep for that 2.2. And see what we got going on in the Pacific Northwest. Still some activity spiking up around the Mount St. Helens area. This activity looks like it was all after midnight. Mostly smaller microquakes here across this region. Let's go ahead and double check, see what we got on the latest. Ooh, we got that volcano up there, of course, in the red. Mount St. Helens, we're going to check that out here real quick. Looks like it wants to be a little bit closer here. See what we got for the recorded seismograph data. By the way, folks, while we're looking for this seismograph station, the 100,000 subscriber giveaway will be video will be put out today. So we'll be giving away prizes there to 10 people. I'll go over the details and whatnot in this video that I will be putting out sometime a little bit later this afternoon. Still kind of working on it and going over the details. All right, earthquake activity. Yeah. What do you guys see here? I see what looks like a pretty good swarm of activity here across the Mount St. Helens area, at least according to this map. Now, this is the, what's this seismograph station called? I believe that's the September Lobe or Lobe. Let me go over here to the other folks here. Their volcanic seismicity map here around Mount St. Helens. And these guys should have roughly the same reading, right? This is going to be named September, right? Or SEP, as in this one here as well. SEP. So let's see what this one looks like. This one's still showing some earthquake activity. See all these little spikes here? On a different, this is a different type of, what is this, BHZ? Not for sure which one this is. But still, looks like there's definitely quite a bit of earthquake activity kicking up. Nothing big. Definitely nothing big, but it's still continuing here in the Mount St. Helens area. I'm just checking out a couple different seismograph readings. This one here shows it a little bit less. What was this BDF? Is that the one that we just looked at? I don't know. Stand by here first. Well, yeah, that one's way out of line. Look at that. Woo, that's a great seismograph. Okay, so either way, if we try to compare these, they're not all going to look the same. But obviously, I would say there's some type of earthquake activity, some type of swarm going on, still continuing. Some larger events in there as well. I'm guessing maybe these might be above 1.0, maybe 2-pointer. Some of these. But the majority of these are very small earthquakes. And the USGS, again, reporting a handful of smaller quakes in the area. And this has just been an ongoing deal here for at least over the past week. I think it's been more than that now. We have to go back to the last 30 days to get the total overview. Coming up on, about 77 earthquakes so far. That's just the ones that they're counting. That's just the ones that's being issued. But I could probably count 77 on the last 24 hours here. So, not for sure what's going on. Waiting for some information from the USGS to see what they have to say about this, this activity. Looks like there was a little bit of activity around the further up north around Mount Rainier as well, getting a little bit of earthquake activity right at the summit areas. And this is, been off and on here between these two volcanoes, more so down in Mount St. Helens, but it's right underneath, the dome area, so to speak, or the crater area, whatever you want to call it, right at the center of that volcano. Let me go over here to the let's back out of here real quick and see if we can get Mount Rainier up here. That's still normal. Beautiful volcano, absolutely stunning. But there is some deadly volcanoes, potentially deadly volcanoes up there across the area. So I'm just going to go up here and check out a seismograph station around the Mount Rainier area, since it looks like there's a tilt meter up here, not operable. GPS from 2015. All right. Let me get rid of some of these here. Infrasound, all right. Temperature. I just want to see one of these seismograph stations up here. I guess we'll choose this one maybe. That one's not working. Is this one going to work? This one's working. This almost looks like there's a bunch of earthquake activity up there as well. I know some of these are very small, but some of these are, at least that one maybe. That's it's hard to say if maybe it, I don't think it's wind up there, but you never know. Either way, it looks like some earthquake activity occurring up there around the Mount Rainier area as well. Whether every single one of these spikes are earthquakes or not is questionable, but I guess we'll continue to watch that area as well. That one was this station over here. Let's see if the south flank here is working. Of course not. Further down the line, nope. Goodness, none of this is working. Is webcam working? This is put out. There's still snow up there. When was this put out? Way up in the corner right here. Well, that can't be right. That looks like October 1st, 2022. All right, well, that's kind of crazy. Click on the latest information, and it takes you from years past. So there's a seismograph station hiding right there. Yeah, on this one, you can still see some of that earthquake activity. So I'll just continue to watch this and report back on them, see see if we get any updates from the USGS in regards to any of this earthquake activity. All right, around Mount Yellowstone, but this is just Yellowstone super volcano. One earthquake showing up. Seismograph stations here. Let me bring that up as well. From the Yellowstone overview. This is from isthisthingOn.org. Pretty cool layout of the seismograph stations around the Yellowstone National Park area. And looks pretty quiet. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity. One little spike here, but that's literally about it. For now. Rest of the country here, New Madrid seismic zone. Couple earthquakes there from today and yesterday. Nothing new going on. Still seeing a little swarm up here around the Puerto Rico Trench. Been watching a little bit of migration here over the last week. Seen a little swarm here around the British Virgin Islands area. Well, that movement has shifted a little bit closer here to the Puerto Rico Trench, where we're seeing a couple earthquakes in the upper 3 range, roughly about 22 to 30 kilometers deep or so. Obviously, quite a bit of strain building up here around this this trench area, which I believe is very capable of producing some large damaging earthquakes. So continue to watch that. South America filling in slightly down here across the Peru-Chile Trench with a handful of deeper and subsequently shallower earthquakes here. There's a 3.9 being listed up here from the USGS. Goodness. On the Peru-Chile Trench. So we'll watch that. A bunch of forests popping off in a majorly strained area. The Big Island of Hawaii still seeing some movement today. Looks like Kilauea Volcano. Still seeing some movement, but it looks like most of this activity was from yesterday. So a little pause in the eruptive status there. Well, it's not erupting, but a little pause in the earthquake swarm activity, I should say, there at Kilauea Volcano. The latest informational statement here from the USGS. Kilauea Volcano is currently not erupting. The unrest is due to elevated earthquake activity. Doesn't look like we're seeing any advancement yet in that earthquake swarm far as migration to the surface. Right now, these earthquakes have occurred at about a depth of 1 to 2 miles below the surface. That's 2 to 3 kilometers. So we'll continue to watch that, of course. Alaska, what do we got? Not a whole lot going on up here. Right now, it's just looks like your typical plate boundary earthquake movement. No major activity to take note of. A little separate swarm out here across Japan. A lot of this activity from yesterday, though. And then we had a little separate swarm down here across Taiwan. And some of that's from yesterday as well. So looks like most of the activity has shifted down south here across the plate boundary. Java Trench showing some elevated movement here as well. This was quiet yesterday. Filling in nicely. With some 4s and even a 5.0 up here across the Sumatra area, northern Sumatra. So definitely continue to watch that. But I think right now our big-time quiet zone needs to be watched more so. That's the Solomon Islands, Vanuatu area. New Zealand, not a whole lot popping up down there for now. Of course, we'll continue to keep that in mind as well with that lack of earthquake activity. Tanzania, 5.2. It's somewhat of a larger quake out here. Moderate. I should say moderate, not large. A moderate quake. It's part of a little swarm of activity that's occurring out here in this area of the world. And it looks like, goodness, we got about 17 earthquakes of at least 4.0 and above. Largest looks to be a 5.5 that started off the swarm. But we'll continue to watch that. Looks like a whole bunch hiding underneath here. Of course, got a rift zone over here. Trying to think of historical data within this area. Obviously, there's quite a bit of earthquake activity within this region of Tanzania. More so, though, along the this rift zone. All right, let's back out of here, see what else we got to cover real quick, and then we'll move on. That was that 5.8 Papua New Guinea area. A little bit of movement off the Iran region. And what do we got up here? 4.0 in Poland. Goodness. They do get earthquakes up there as well. The Earthquake 3D program here will show some of the smaller quakes in the area. Looks like 3.4, 4.0. A little bit of movement here across the strait off the coast of Morocco, Spain area. And I'll just continue to watch. Of course, these areas kicked up following the, when was it, yesterday or within the past week or so, we've seen some divergent boundary earthquake activity out here. That could be adding a strain up against these the plates currently. Got to get that momentum going somewhere, so that's kind of what's taking place. All right, space weather activity. Got a little bit of flaring kicking off, it looks like, currently from this Earth-facing sunspot here on the surface, well, on the sun anyway. Bright little feature. A small amount of flaring going on from that sunspot. Looks like it's peeking into the almost the M flare category. It looks like that's where it's coming from. There is a little bit of global D-layer absorption going on here across the surface, or in the ionosphere, I should say, on the sunlit side of the Earth, centered roughly over the eastern Pacific here, North America area. Trying to see where exactly that is coming from, though. Is it just from this one? Or maybe it's a combination of a couple different ones. I'm thinking more towards this area. Just sometimes this data is delayed. This is looks like 10 minutes old, so the actual data coming in is more current. So we'll probably actually kicking up into an M flare category right now. So I'm guessing that's going to be from. See the timestamp on this. We're a little bit more ahead. So the next updated image here would be would probably show that flare. Yeah, that's all right. We'll just watch and see if this gets updated here at the end of this video. Looking at these complex structures, of course, within these sunspots here. I think the main one to watch is this area. It does show a little bit of stretching, so to speak, but it's still fairly complex. And we got a bunch of new sunspots, it looks like, coming around the eastern limb here, northeastern limb of the sun, that we're going to watch here in the coming days for some advancement, maybe a couple more flares kicking off there. Also, we did see a little peak here in the KP index that was kicked up earlier this morning. Out of the blue, not for sure exactly where that came from, but it looks like, let's see if Kevin covered this or not. A weak transient passage was observed today. That was from earlier. Solar wind speed increased from about 390 to 450. And again, that just kind of sparked up a little bit here of the KP index out of the blue. Not for sure where it came from, but it's there, getting these little surprises from the sun. Still no update on this. Kind of curious to see what it looks like. All right, so overall threat right now, 95% chance for a C flare, M flare 25, X flare around 5% chance, mainly due to these complex structures there on the sun. Structure of the sunspots, not structures like as in buildings and whatnot. That'd be a little crazy, a little too hot for my comfort level out there. No major forecasted auroras as far as that 3-day geomagnetic forecast goes. Storm Prediction Center, we'll check this out here real quick. Got a slight risk for some severe weather across portions of the Minnesota area. Missouri included down here in a little separate category. 2% chance for tornado probability, mainly up north in the Minnesota area. I think wind and maybe some hail threats will be the main threat out there today. Quick look at the numerical model of the weather out here in the coming days. I want to see if this hurricane's getting any closer here to the eastern portion of the country. This model wants to take it a little bit closer here to the eastern states. Continue to watch that. Either way, these weather models have been gaining confidence in terms of a major tropical system out here, hurricane, getting close to the eastern portion of the country. So we'll watch that pretty closely. Looks like time frame will be around the 13th or 14th So we're looking at just under 10 days now. So we'll keep checking these weather models, see if we get any major changes to that forecast. Looks like it might just clip there. Certain areas of the eastern seaboard. We'll continue to watch that for any development and changes. All right, folks, I am going to jump off here and publish that. Well, we're definitely up into the influence category right now, M1.2. Yeah, this one, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how often this updates. I thought it was every 10 minutes, but it's been past that right now. Either way, getting some radio blackout here. That is an Earth-directed sunspot. And that flare is definitely pointing right at the Earth, so we're getting the full effects of it. I don't know if there's going to be any CME produced with it. Right now, it's hard to tell with the UV filter. This is from 37, so notice that bright feature. Even on this image here, that's going to be the source of that M flare currently taking place. Yeah, I don't know how often this updates. All right, so look for the update video a little bit later this afternoon, folks, and we'll go over details on what you need to do to enter that 100,000 subscriber giveaway coming up very soon. A huge wall of plasma out here. Look at that dark feature stretching. You get that to blast off, that could definitely spark up some big time auroras. But we'll continue to watch this area. Center disk pointing right at Earth for further flaring. Have a good one, folks. Look for that update, that video coming out later this afternoon. Take care.